Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Emo Kids Anonymous. I am your host, Rob LaFoon. Unfortunately, my co-host, Amanda, could not be with me today, but nevertheless, we have a band today from the Bay Area. Oakland, to be specific, the East Bay. The East Bay has a long history of hardcore punk rock bands coming out of there. Obviously, we know AFI, the Green Days, the Operation Ivies, yada, yada, yada. A lot of great bands. This band, Drought, they got a show December 4th coming up with Thursday and Free Throw up in the Bay there. You're going to want to check that out. But before we dive into that, I'm going to go on my little rant here. I need you to do me a favor, okay? Are you listening? Are you paying attention to what I'm saying here? Okay, I need you to click, there's a button down there. It's like a bell or something. Subscribe, prescribe, pretend you're at the pharmacy. Hit that button real hard. We got a lot of really cool episodes coming up before the year ends, okay? We're getting into a lot of wild shit. While we're on that topic, follow us on TikTok, Instagram, Twitter. TikTok and Instagram, we're Emo Kids Anonymous. Over on Twitter, we're Emo Kids Anon Pod, Emo Kids Anon Pod. You see it right down there. I run my mouth on Twitter a lot. It's a lot more fun, a little more free base. On Instagram and TikTok, you can get a lot more like clips from the episodes, which obviously at this point, you're already watching the episodes. So really, you're just supporting us. You're not getting anything new. But on Twitter, this mouth runs like Usain Bolt, okay? Okay? Oh, fucking okay. Anyways, while you're at that, do us a favor. Go check out neverphasenetwork.com, okay? We got some cool stuff going on over there. I'm really proud of the work we've been doing, both with the podcast and Never Phase Network. This is something that, a handful of us cooked up, a few months ago, and we were magically able to herd a pile of 15, mentally ill cats together with ADHD and all these things, and we were able to go in a straight line. We recently added a new member to our team, Cameron. She's a contributor. She does some cool write-ups about smaller bands and the like, really putting in work, and excited to have her on the team, excited for the work our team's doing. Shout out CZB, shout out Swemo. We're really grinding with that, so it'd be super cool if you could go follow Never a Phase Network as well. Now, that being said, we got Drought coming up here, okay? Now, Drought, this is a post-hardcore band from Oakland, okay? The East Bay. Oakland is a tough-ass city, and this is a tough-ass fucking band, okay? Their new record, Souvenir, came out this last July, and it's Scott's Records approved, okay? Scott put his stamp of approval on this, and you know damn well that is the Anthony Fantano of emo. So if Scott says it's good, baby, it's fucking good. These guys are super cool, really mature intellectual conversation. Usually when it's just me doing these things by myself, it turns into emo fight night WWE bullshit because I'm a fucking carny grifter at heart, but this is a really cool one. This is a really fucking awesome band. It was cool talking about just in a similar situation myself where, you're, involved in the scene younger and you kind of take a step away and then you come back and you're able to approach it with a different mindset, a different outlook. You can apply what you've learned then or what you've learned now to, this and, I'm doing a lot of words when I shouldn't be doing a lot of words. Normally Amanda would be filling up a chunk of this as well, but she could not join me today. That being said, we'll be back to our regular programming very soon. Anyways, here's Drought. Welcome. Today we have Drought all the way from Oakland, the East Bay. What's up, guys? You want to let these people know who the hell Drought is? You guys are making quite the wave of noise this year, I will say.
Yeah, we're not all on the East Bay, so we got you guys want to introduce yourself?
So let's break that down then. Speaking of doxing, where are we all at?
I'm an SF. Other two with me here, Eric and Vicky, are in the East Bay in Oakland, and our drummer Ray is in San Jose, and our homie Dave that's been playing bass with us is also in SF.
Okay. So we just have the full Bay covered.
Yeah, we're all over the Bay.
Okay. When you say you're not all in the Bay in the East Bay for a second, I thought maybe like someone was in Cincinnati or one of the guys flying in. I'm like, okay. No, I get it as like, yeah, as someone like in LA, like if someone, like some guys were in the Valley and some guys were in Anaheim, I'd be like, hold on, like not technically all LA, there needs to be clear defined lines here. Okay, so band started a few years ago. You guys want to tell our listeners here, everyone's role in the band?
Yes. Sure. This is Eric. I play guitar.
This is RJ. I play guitar.
Viggy. I do vocals.
Oh yeah. And so you guys started a few years ago, and we released our first full-length album this year. I believe it came out on Iodine. Am I saying that right?
That's right.
Yep.
Hell yeah. So what's the process that got us here? You guys want to get a bit of the origin stories of Drought? When did the band start? We're a post-pandemic band, right?
No, right in the middle of the pandemic, really.
Okay.
Um, so basically, yeah, during the pandemic, I was trying to figure out how to meet people, and how to like put a band together. It was a little difficult to like make new friends during that
Yeah.
time. So I just made a Craigslist ad and just cast it out there to whoever was like on Craigslist looking at classifieds. Um, and Viggy responded. Um, Viggy was actually probably Viggy and Ray, our drummer, were one of the were both like early like responses to the post, and then it took a little while of like sifting through like meeting various people um until we until Viggy, Ray, and I all kind of got to meet up in person. Um, and we had another bassist friend who was playing with us for a while. And so it was kind of the four of us for a little bit. And then eventually, through some mutual friends, I met RJ. And so RJ ended up, he wasn't part of the original Craigslist like
Okay. Didn't find him
net,
on Craigslist.
but he, yeah, through a friend network, yeah, he ended up hopping in.
That's good. I didn't know there was still good stuff happening on Craigslist this late, honestly. Because yeah, like that was the move for bands back in the day, and we've like so many bands now say the same thing. It's like I didn't know how to meet people, this or that. Like we got to make like a Bumble or a Grinder for like bands. Really, is the long term plan here? That's the grift we're gonna get into with this eventually. But like, it's tough to meet people. So Craigslist, like yeah, like that. It's nice to know that Craig's little way of making people meet is still working to find bands. Was it a little awkward at first, kind of trying to get that going? Were you guys sending files before you met up? I mean, still mid-pandemic, I'm guessing that was the move.
Yeah, it was definitely awkward. Like I went on quite a few bad first dates.
Hell yeah.
uh, and yeah, there was some file sharing. Like I had some like real like rough phone recordings that I had sent off to. I know Ray definitely. I think probably Viggy as well. Um, and so yeah, I think like um, yeah, just meeting those guys. I think we sort of collectively got the sense that we were all on similar pages, because like I think I mean yeah I got like dozens of people responding on Craigslist, and a lot of them like I could tell we just weren't gonna like
Yeah.
vibe um very heavily.
You get
But
like the old head guys on there that'll come through with like like I need something like Pantera, this and that, like, not looking for this, want to get paid for like they come like it's like a copy pasta of the Craigslist guy almost. Yeah.
yeah, like suicidal tendencies
Yep.
is a very popular name to drop when replying to a Craigslist ad.
Yeah, there's some bands with some serious Craigslist cred.
It's also worth noting that, like, one of the reasons I think, Eric, I don't want to speak for you, but I think it's worth mentioning that I think one of the reasons you turned to Craigslist is most of us had spent upwards of a decade or more away from playing music. So it's like similarly when I moved to SF from New York, I didn't really know where to find the like music and art
Yeah.
weirdos. Um, and like the longer you're away from those communities, the kind of like the harder it is to find those people.
Yes.
So that's kind of where like Craigslist was like, well, I don't really know where these people are or how to find my way in or find people that are looking to be in bands. So yeah.
I think that's definitely common across the board, but I do think in certain cities there's like, even you might not get into the right crowd, but you're getting your foot in the door. Like maybe there's some places. I will say in my very minimal experience going up to San Francisco, one thing I've noticed is like it's not like LA where I just like, oh, there's certain neighbor like I just this is where the party will be. This is where the bars are. I remember I drove up from LA one day to go to a Sharks game at night. Me and my buddy, we wanted to go crazy. Everyone's like, gotta go to San Francisco. And we didn't know where to go. We just drove around and I couldn't find a single fucking thing to do. Yeah. So it's not like LA, like maybe the Sunset Strip's not that cool or this, but like you can eventually, you can find out what's cool by working through what's not. It's gotta be tougher up there.
Yeah, I mean, SF definitely, I think is, you know, I think it's a little bit harder to find the subcultures that we might be talking about.
Yeah.
A lot of the venues that maybe play this kind of music aren't heavily publicized, or like it's a big city and there's a lot of industry here, and it's not always the most it's not always the easiest to like find the other weirdos and artists and music makers and these other kind of like subcultures. You kind of have to you have to do some work, which is
you have to find
maybe
it.
not the best.
Viggy, what did you think about the experience?
Yeah, I mean, I kind of grew up here a little bit between here and Toronto, but like all of my like first experiences playing in bands and stuff were in the Bay Area, but it's like changed so much. And I think one of the things about the Bay is like there are a lot more bands than there are like people that like go see shows. Sometimes it feels like there are a lot of like really good bands. Like, I mean, we have like a pretty like awesome music history here, whether it's like Dead Kennedys or Op Ivy or AFI or like new stuff, like for everything from like Deaf Heaven to Drain or Scowl Tsunami, and like I think it's like you've got all of these like amazing bands. People are always like, "Oh, what's it like there?" And I'm like, "It's awesome." Like, don't get me wrong. Like, like there's a lot of like really killer shows that happen and stuff. But I think like we've lost so many like good venues and stuff over the years that like now it's harder to kind of just be like, oh, this is going to be the spot that I'm going to like see a good show. Like, it's like, people are, I think some of the younger kids in town are like starting to figure that out a little bit better. And like, our friends Violet and Corey will have house shows, or like, they'll do like a generator show at a skate park and stuff like that. And like, that's kind of the better option, because like most of the venues that we have are like 21 and over, or like they're like big venues, or like a lot of spots here it's like, oh, why would we book like a punk band or an emo band when we could be selling bottle service?
Exactly. Yeah, we can get a DJ in here, a cover band that'll drop. We need 65 heads immediately on the pre-sale, this or that. We know the DJ will bring it. People will come dance. We'll do a theme night instead.
Yeah, 100%.
You start to lose the venues.
I think that's really real. Like, there's a couple of spots that used to be venues that have turned into like clubs. Like Slim's was like that. Crybaby kind of like, they have shows. Like Trash Talk played there. I think there was like there's like another show that's happening there sometime soon. But like they also do like mostly DJ nights, and that's like pretty local to us. And it would be the right size. Like it could kick ass,
Okay. You mentioned Toronto. Are you Canadian? You grew up in Canada?
Yeah, it's my escape plan.
Okay. Yeah, I grew up in Alberta. Yeah, which is like, the opposite of Toronto. Toronto, the most cultured city in North America. I grew up in, Grand Prairie, Alberta.
Is Grand Prairie north of Edmonton?
Yeah, it's like northwest.
Did you have bees?
Like the animal? Like
the
insect?
Every single person I've met from northern Alberta
says they don't got bees?
They're like bee farmers and stuff. Like I've met a bunch of people that like.
Oh shit! I was gonna say, like, I've definitely seen bees. Like I remember Courtney Sullivan. She got stung by one in kindergarten. Yeah, like, my family doesn't come from bee money, unfortunately. No. What
about birds? You guys got birds?
Yeah, there's birds. They got. I mean, the Blue Jays are a baseball team, but they got other ones. Yeah, there's some shit up there. Moose, all that. Yeah, all the. It's funny, whenever people, you're actually from Toronto, so maybe there is a chance you could actually know the people. But when anyone meets me, it's like, oh, do you know, like, I have a cousin in Canada, and it's like, oh, they're in Vancouver or Toronto, and I'm like, no, I'm from the part of Canada you want to get out of, like, it's the exact opposite. That's funny. So when did you come down to, you moved down to, at some point you came to the Bay?
High school, split time between both until I finished high school. My dad still lived in Canada, and my mom moved to California.
Wow, yeah, I had the exact opposite thing. Yeah, same thing. And then I'd go down to California, and Toronto's different, but we were kind of onto stuff down here way before they were. And it's like the Midwest; they're catching on the fashions late. So I'd come down here, I'd be like, "Oh, people are wearing these," like. And I'd go up there and be like, "Oh, Rob's cool. We got this outfit." It's just like I'm just dressed like every other jackass in San Diego, but they didn't know, so it's cool. But anyways, so for all you guys, then what are the influences here that lead us into this fucking subgenre? The hardcore world, post-hardcore world. I mean, when I listen to, it's funny you mentioned AFI. Like, I think I just have this regional bias with people where I just hear areas and I'm like, oh, there's so much like answer that and stay fashionable in this. Like, especially like Biggie, like the vocal delivery I hear like that. I'm like, there's so much like AFI energy to this where I'm just like, I listen to the record and let me just say, Scott's Records, I'm sure you're familiar with Scott's Records on online. Scott's Records approved. He liked this record a lot. He reached out to me and told me. And at that point, you guys had already messaged us. And I was like, damn, like, Scott likes this band kind of thing. Okay, I better check it out. And I'm like, this sounds like something I'm going to get punched in the face in a mosh pit too. You know what I mean? Like, it has that, like, it feels like, I'd say like a military gun have that vibe as well, where just this aggression and this like basement show feeling, but with just better quality production and just musicianship and stuff like that. You guys are really nailing both worlds. So I guess we want to know what were the bands that led us here.
Viggy, Eric, you guys want to go first?
On my screen, you're like just pointing at a wall.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, you're in the left corner for me. Yeah, you're just
yeah.
There we go.
I think like all of us like different stuff, and I'll let the other guys kind of talk about like influences for them. I mean, like the reason like Eric and I connected about like a lot of sort of like 2000s to 2010s sort of like emotional hardcore bands. That was what we really like bonded over. So like, stuff like Pianos Become the Teeth or like La Dispute or Fiddlehead, and there's like that kind of like melodic, emotive, sort of like introspective hardcore, I think is like something that like really resonates for all of us, like stylistically. There's like a lot of other stuff we all really like too. I mean, like, gosh, like there's a lot of my favorite bands are like, I love like the Appleseed Cast or Me Without You, or like, it can really sort of, or like Bjork or whatever, like can really like sort of run the gamut. But like, I think when it came to like stuff that what we were like kind of like driving toward were like, these kind of like melodic hardcore, sort of emotional stuff, like stuff that's like, when I was growing up, like I remember like I'd see like a lot of like you'd have these bills that would be like a hardcore band playing with like an emo band, and like that I think is like really kind of a sweet spot for us. Like bands like Thursday or Saves the Day, kind of like exemplify that, where they like walk that line really well. So like I think that was huge for us, and it still really is, because like you look at a lot of shows now and everything feels like super segmented, and like that's not the world we come from. Like we all really like where they all cross over. But I'll let the other guys talk about what connected for them.
Eric?
Yeah, so I think like when it comes to influences, I tend to think more about like not so much the like instrumentation, but more kind of like the feeling of being at some of the shows that I remember going to when I was younger.
Okay.
And where like, they were at like VFW halls, or like, and bands were playing on the floor and people were like jumping on top of each other to like pile on the mic. And seeing bands, like Verse or like Half Heart, or, like more like bands that were more like local to California Bay Area, like Ceremony. And I think that was it was like, for me, it's kind of more about the spirit of like what those bands were able to embody in a live context that is like it was kind of like the motivating factor in like what I wanted to do when I was like thinking about starting um a band, or just like, or like trying to play music with people. um so yeah, I think it was like really trying to like capture that spirit more than go for any like sound in
It's
particular.
funny you say that because I have this like half theory I cooked up a week or so ago where it's like bands aren't the music. It's like what they represent to be. It's like brands, it's like Coca-Cola makes you feel this, blah, blah, blah. It's like Blink-182. The songs are great, but it's this feeling of friendship and this, the reminder of the suburban feeling, when it was just that you were carefree and things were fun. And it's like, say, like, the Thursdays, like the song, it's like immediately you say that, I know what you mean. It's like this feeling of like a pit where it feels like a little like almost DIY feeling. Even if they're a bigger band, it's loose. There's that brotherhood. You're excited. You like it inspires something in people, right?
Yeah, I think that's like kind of at the core of a lot of us kind of come from similar but different musical backgrounds, but I think one thing that we all share is like we want things to feel authentic
Hmm.
and a little rough around the edges or raw. Like when things start to feel too produced or too like perfect, it kind of loses that
Yes.
rough around the edges, like the feeling that Eric was describing of like like seeing these shows in a venue. Like Eric and I joke a lot about playing a lot of jazz chords when we play live because I mean to play the songs well live, but I also want there to be an energy.
Yeah.
I think like playing the songs perfectly is less important live when it's more
Sick.
about like getting to have like a reciprocal energy with the people there.
I
Um,
yeah. Give me 30 seconds here. I'm like a single mother today. I got my son. I got to move my son into the room, and Amanda couldn't join me. Obviously, as you see, I'm like fuck. I got like 100 things. Give me
all
two
good.
seconds. I have something to say on that. Brett, Benji, come here, buddy. Come
All good.
Big dog.
The music is really doing it for me.
Yeah, what was that?
Here, buddy.
It sounds like a gag horn.
Thanks, buddy. Come on, lift up.
Yeah, or like
Thank you,
someone's
buddy.
practicing saxophone.
Love you, big dog.
I need to start calling my son Big Dog.
Thanks. Anyways,
No,
Okay.
no worries.
so it's funny you mentioned that with the like playing things perfect live and this and that, because like, and you also mentioned earlier how you guys kind of fell off and weren't in bands for like 10 years. There's this common thing, and like it's nice to hear it validated. Where like I'm 36, and I feel like in about 2010, 2011, I kind of fell out of the scene for a while. Like I was more of an emo, pop punk, this and that. And the scene kind of went more like metalcore and melodic, like that kind of stuff. And the pop punk kind of went like a little too neon-y. But a lot of the heavier music that took over to me was just very, very over fucking produced. And as a guy that was also in a band at the time, like I'd go see these bands. I had buddies that played in them, and I'd see them record where they're playing this, the scale like note for note on the recording. They're every hit on the drum set is programmed in. There was this like perfection to it, you know what I mean? That to me, I personally don't enjoy, but also there was so many bands that were becoming massive during that time, like like the Bring Me the Horizons and the Falling in Reverses and stuff. Like a lot of the bigger bands were doing this, so like it's interesting to hear you guys have that opposite perspective. Is this one of the reasons you think you maybe fell out of the scene too?
Mm, I mean, I personally, I think there was a confluence of things. I had been in a bunch of bands ranging kind of from like maybe at the drive-in kind of like punk to like I was like super inspired by Hydra Head kind of bands like ISIS and played in some like instrumental bands. But I had all these projects come to an end and was feeling a little jaded on it. Like you invest so much time and effort into things, and
Yeah.
the chances that it doesn't work out are far greater than the ones that it will. Um, and my last project kind of ended on like a sour note and was feeling pretty burnt out. um, and that happened to coincide with an opportunity I had to move to New York from Wisconsin.
Oh, damn.
So it was that move. Like I didn't move with anything. I moved with a backpack, and I meant to be there for 3 months, and I was there for 5 years. And just like the nature of my living circumstances, like I didn't bring musical equipment. I was like burnt out on it, and I didn't try to bring any with me. And I just kind of fell. Like I regarded it as like a past self, Like
Mhm.
I think
I'm past
I
that
think it's
part of my
okay.
life. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's okay for there to be like sunsets on chapters of our lives, because you can discover something new that you could be super passionate about and fall in love with and discover. And it's okay if those things come to an end. And like, I'm really fortunate for the time I spent away, because I fell in love with all sorts of other creative pursuits. But it also meant I got to come back to this, later in life with a renewed sense of enthusiasm.
Mhm.
And, just like, I think it's easy to look back on life and be like, oh, if I knew then what I know now. And it kind of feels like an opportunity to um kind of do things the way I wish I had back then.
Yes.
Um
Man,
What about you guys? You got a similar situation?
that's super connected for me. I think there was like a little bit of yeah, point in every direction. There was a little
Right.
bit of there was a little bit of, I think, when I was younger and in bands, I think like there's always this kind of like drive to make it or this or that or like, and like when you're a kid and you, especially in like this kind of music, there's like a lot of stuff that's like about like conviction or
Yeah.
introspection or how do I be a good person in the world or what kind of person do I want to be type stuff, or how can I be a better partner? How can I be a better, like, whatever it ends up
There's like
being.
ethos attached to our world that's not, it might necessarily be there with, yeah, if you're making indie pop or something.
Yeah, and you like hear the songs and you're like a person, you're like, listening in headphones or whatever, or even you're like in a band and you're like, you have this idea in your head, and then you meet people and like people never live up to that stuff, and it's like that's not like anyone's fault. It's just like natural. You're kids, like people do stuff and whatever. But like, I think it became like really easy to be jaded by like how people would behave or like, what I kind of wanted to be around. And
Yeah.
like my first two bands, like, they both like did well. I mean, we played like a ton of shows with like a lot of bands that like I admire and love and like, got some like booking chops out of it or this or that. And like,
Hmm.
but I was like, man, like I don't really like interacting with people this way. And and then it's like when you're out of it, it's like, how do I assemble a band with like people who like are kind of like minded? And then you're also like not like, when you're younger, I think that for me, I wasn't all that confident. So I didn't know how to like go in and be like, well, this is really what I want. And like, how can I find it?
Yeah.
Um, but like now, I have like a little bit more perspective, I think, and like a little bit of a sense of like, okay, like, we can do things the way we want to, and we can like talk about it if we have like disagreements and stuff. And, and I feel like pretty grounded about all that. So like, I think that kind of contributed to a willingness to like give it a shot again. Plus, like, I think like during the pandemic, I was like, there was a lot of stuff I was like thinking about or reflecting on, and I had nowhere to kind of put that energy.
Yeah.
So this like music ended up being the spot. Like it was like early on, it was like, oh, I'm gonna drink or this or that, and like
I'm
as
gonna
time
learn how
went
to
on,
make
I'm like,
sourdough. Yeah.
honestly, I took up cocktail making, and I was like, I'm gonna make drinks, and it's like,
I'm gonna be
dude, like
fucking
you're
mixologist.
alone in your house, this is not good for you.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I needed something that'd be good for me, and this is a little different.
That's wild. That seems to be a common thing too. Like I think with, especially, I'm assuming you guys are roughly in the same age range as I am, where in that era we grew up in, there was like a lot of bad actors that I think also the scene, just alternative music, got so big that it became like a cool kid thing, that it attracted a lot of people for the wrong reasons. But there was just all this. It's just, it was easy that once you get a little jaded, you're just like, did we really
Yeah,
believe all this? Like, did everyone, mean what they stood for?
I think there's also a certain freedom that comes with coming back to music the way we all have, in that like none of us started like the way we were kind of talking about being younger and the energy you put into a band. Like you're hoping you get signed, you're hoping you like make it on tours, and like we're gonna make it. Or at least like in a lot of the circles I played music in, like that was the goal, to like air quotes make it, whatever that means.
Mm.
And I think like there's the freedom now is like we we have full lives, like we have families or careers, or we have like other pursuits that like we're not putting all our eggs in this one basket. So
And
there's
you're
like a
not,
certain
yeah,
kind of like freedom to like, well, we're just gonna do it. And like
all your
the
life
goal isn't to
fulfillment
make it.
doesn't come from, yeah, living and dying by the booking or the streaming numbers or something like that. You're like, this is all just a bonus now. Like, I've done it
Yeah.
before. I get a second chance. Yeah. What
Yeah,
about you,
that's
Eric? Was similar, yeah,
100%.
similar thing.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, very similar. And I think, yeah, the way that you phrase that is exactly how I feel about it. It's like it all just feels like a bonus. I When I stopped playing music, it kind of because I was playing with a band that was about to go do a US tour,
Mm-hmm.
and I had just got into university,
Okay.
and I like couldn't yes, I couldn't go. I made the decision to not go on tour and to go to school. And yeah, so it kind of uh yeah, my attention just went towards like other
Yeah.
things. Like I got into photography, and that sort of like filled the artistic um like part of my life. Um but I think Viggy said something earlier that kind of uh, stirred a thought in my mind, which is that like I kind of believe that even like despite taking such a long time away from music, I kind of think that like the songs were like kind of getting written a little bit, you
Already
know?
processing.
Yeah, like I think because when I got back to it, it didn't feel very hard
Mm-hmm.
to just start producing ideas. And so like I'm a believer that like taking time away can be a benefit sometimes, because you're still like in your subconscious producing all of these thoughts and ideas, and then once you're ready to like put them into an instrument or like into lyrics, then you're kind of, it's like game time at that point. So
It's so fun. There seems to be like, this is such a common kind of story I've been hearing so much. I feel like just in general, our world is in better hands now, because all the really good bands right now seem to be, I mean, there's a lot of younger bands that are fucking great, but there seems to be a lot of like older band, like that have like, we've same kind of thing where it's like, yeah, we were in bands, we took a step away, we came back, now we know what we're doing. Surprise, surprise, the music is fucking better. We're all better people because we're not jackass 22-year-olds, kind of thing. It's like we figured it out. There seems to be this common thing where I mean, even same thing with this show kind of thing, where it's like, I played in bands for years, this and that, and then it's like, oh, you can still, there's other ways to be involved in this, and you can do this instead and not have to, like live and die by this. And then it's like, oh, this is actually way easier and more enjoyable. And, like I'm not stressed out because my buddies sold more pre-sale tickets, than I have, knowing at the end of the day, he's going to get $31 and I'm going to get 22, and we're still not going to have enough to, buy the case of beer and the weed or whatever, like it still doesn't add up. Moving on though to to Drought today. So Souvenir comes out in July, right?
Came out. Came out in July.
It came out this last July. So what was the process on that? That's your first full length, obviously. You know, people had a little taste of Drought before that, but this is the first full length. Where'd you guys do this? What was the fun little recording process?
So we this was like a little bit crazy. We had like we knew we wanted to do a full length. And we had like a lot of ideas, but like it's also like we were also like playing a lot of shows, and it was like, okay, like how do we put our heads down and like really get this done? Because we were like, there's a little bit of like, let's strike while the iron's hot. Like, you know, we've been a band now for like since 2022, so about 3 years.
Yeah.
And our EP came out in 2023, and like, and we were like, you know, like we should really work on like trying to have something else. Like we've got these 3 songs. Iodine reached out to us. They were interested in releasing it and put it out. And there's like a little bit of like, well, you know, like the energy is there now. You know, if we wait a couple of years, like who knows? Like, you know, this might dry out. We might get tired of it. Like let's see whether we can really like do it. So it was like we were like, it was almost like we were like doing like a school project. We were like, we have deadlines, let's try and get this done. Like we were like very, very like intentional about it, which was like cool. Like I think it was like a really interesting experience. I don't know that we would do it the exact same way again if we were doing it a second time, but there was a little bit of like, well, we have this shot now. And especially when you've like, you remember when you're young and you're in bands and sometimes you don't record or you never like get to the thing. We were like, no, we really need to like create something that we can like be proud of out of this. So like there was a lot of energy toward that. And we ended up tracking it with Jack Shirley, who's was like a Bay Area, like, I mean, honestly, like he used to be in one of Eric and my favorite bands, Comadre. He also like recorded, you know, Joyce Manor, Deaf Heaven, Jeff Rosenstock, Loma Prieta, done a lot of stuff that we love. And he records live to tape. So there was like also like the additional pressure of like, we gotta try our best to make it sound good with that.
Based on what RJ said with how he plays, I feel like you were fucking with that. I feel like you enjoyed that process.
No, I hated it. I'm probably the biggest overthinker of the band, and you know, your ambitions don't always line up, don't always match your abilities, and I will be the first to admit that sometimes I write things that are outside of my, you know, comfort zone abilities, and you know, you figure it out, you know. But also, I think to back up a sec, I think one thing that's worth mentioning that, you know, like I didn't really understand when I was younger, and that I thought was like interesting, and then is maybe like a little bit like behind the curtain view of like how some of this stuff works. You know, we self-released our EP, and that was like exactly what they were saying, like our effort to just like have this keepsake, you know. It was like for us, we didn't really know what was going to happen with it, and our friends at Iodine got a hold of it through some mutual friends, and we were lucky enough that, you know, they were interested in helping us press it. And when it came time to start talking with them about the full length, I think we probably would have kicked the can down the road a bit longer. But you know, one of the like I don't jobs, I guess, of the record label is like to help promote you, right? Is like to help promote what you're doing. And it's a vested interest in both parties, like something performs well. So there's windows where they will slot you in. And if you miss that window, they're not going to slot you in again until the train comes back around, right? So like that, I think, really is one of the things that helped light the fire under us, and, you know, implement project management software and dry erase
having like those
boards
real
and
deadlines set where it's like, yeah, if we miss this spot right here, then all the attention's going to, you know, X or Y or whoever has like, yeah, the release schedule's pretty lined up here. Like we got our
SaaS integrations and our CRM. It's all ready to go.
Yeah. The Drought Slack channel was going off. Yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, we did not have a Slack, but we did have a Trello. And you know, like I think that's something that is always kind of like under the surface with bands is the accountability of like there
Mhm.
might be some people that are overachievers and like really good at like managing like their to-do list, and that might just not be like a virtue of everybody's. So it's good to be like, hey, what's holding this song up? Like where are we at with that? And it really helps kind of like keep us on track for like, oh, we need like a guitar part for like the second verse on this song, and this part needs a bass line written for it, you know, and it kind of like helped us make the progress we needed when, you know, writing songs is in a record is like it's kind of a big undertaking,
Yeah.
and we knew we wanted to do it, and yeah, just had to be some like software implementing dorks about it to make it happen.
No, that's smart too. And because it's I've every I think like one of the most important things people can do in general, like, is like team sports stuff. And I see being a band the same thing. It's just like this accountability thing, you know. I feel like everything I've learned in life, I learned from either like playing football or playing, you know, like, or being in a band kind of thing. Like accountability, covering your own ass, realizing you're there for a purpose, you know, don't get imposter syndrome. Like, how do I make it so we score? You know what I mean? And same, I've been in bands where it's like, I'm kind of having to do everything here. You're kind of having to navigate these things. Because same thing, you're younger. You're not, you know, like I said, a lot of bands aren't used to sending these emails or things like that. You know, even like the calendar invites, we send them out sometimes. I'm like, they never clicked it. You know, it's like, did they cancel? I'm like, trust me, they just don't know what the fuck it is. I promise you, they don't know. But like now that you're older, you can realize these things and you can kind of like run it like a business in many ways, like you should, while still actually like having more fun and more brotherhood with it. Because there's not that awkwardness. Like everything's up front. Like, okay, this is what we need right here. Let's get to it when we can.
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned that. I saw you have the Kerosene Heights flag behind you,
Yeah.
and I was actually like talking to them at Fest a little bit
Mhm.
about this stuff, because they're also like, I think, like kind of a little older, like a
Yeah.
couple of them are like married, you know, like I think
Yeah.
like they kind
Yeah.
of come from a similar milieu, and
Oh yeah,
like
they're grown-ups. They come from the hardcore, like like a lot of the bands you mentioned,
yeah,
like Laura Prea, like same thing with Chance, where he's talking about Ditro and this and that. Like he's very much like like punk rock ethos band came around. Now they have a chance to do it right, and they're doing it right.
totally. And one of the things like that we were talking about is the sort of like, how do you outsource stuff? Like this is like the thing, right? Like you want to get to a place where sometimes it's like, you know, like we do most of our booking. We like I like it mostly, but like I think like, I don't know, like if there was someone who was like going to help us with that, like that would also be awesome, right? And I think for
Yeah,
some bands
we
that
don't have
make
to
it
do
when
it
they're
all
young,
ourselves.
totally. And like I do admire it. Like I do think, not admire it, that's the wrong word, but there is like a little piece of it where it's like it's nice sometimes when like you can like lean a little bit on like support from other folks and like
Yeah,
make it work, which is the same kind of thing as like the team sport or like, you know, school project or whatever else it's going to be. And you know, thankfully there's like a lot of other bands that like think kind of similarly and can be like super helpful. Like we did our tour with Common Sage, and like they kind of are like a little similar on this, where they're like, all right, like we're going to try and do as much of this like ourselves as possible. But yeah.
that's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah, it's nice being grown-ups and getting to do this shit. It's nice growing up. It's nice being able to like, yeah, learn from your shit, I guess you'd say, in general. Like I look back at like 20-something-year-old, and I'm like, God, you're such a fucking idiot. So every now and then I'll meet kids like I saw Kerosene Heights the other day, yeah, I was like, I need this flag, you know. But Thoughts on Bowling were opening for them. And they're kids, like they're young as hell. Like the drummer's like 18, 19, you know, they're kids. I'm just like, I'm trying my hardest to not come across like Unc at the, you know, at the family event. Like, what the fuck does this guy know? You know, like I'm not gonna take advice from the guy with the podcast, you know, about my bit, but I'm just like, keep it up. Like, just be smart. Like, don't be stupid. Really, it's like you guys are in such a great spot right now. You're touring. You're in this direct support act, and I can tell you're so young and still figuring. But it's like you are in a great. Just don't fuck it up. Be smart. Like, just, you know, it's like I like if I knew, I wish I could just take the things I know now that I've learned over time and just like put them into your brain, you know?
But to
So
be
it's nice.
fair, everyone becomes Unk at some point. So, you know,
Yeah,
Unk
yeah,
comes for us
no.
all.
I'm starting to embrace it. Yeah.
I will say that uh, I do think the younger generation is like I there are things we can learn from them too. Like I definitely feel like at least the climate here in the Bay Area is a lot less gatekeepy than like stuff was when I was younger, or like some of the older scenes that might still exist are, like from what I see, like people are a lot more inclusive and welcoming. Like that is really inspiring, and
Absolutely.
like
One
something I really
thousand percent.
love about like the younger generation. Also, like again, like I don't know if this is unique to our area, but the like DIY local show promoters have got their shit figured out. Like we got on a lot of our first shows because of our friends Corey and Violet that Viggy already mentioned. And I forget the name of their operation, Viggy or Eric. Remember what they
Ineffable
call it?
and Bucky
Yeah,
fanzine and
yeah, Ineffable. Yeah, and like I do think that the younger generation is doing a great job, and the grass is always greener. Like
I think you're
10:30
right.
rolls around and I'm ready to go home.
I think are the general world of like, yeah, emo, hardcore, pop punk, anything like that. It's in better hands. Like even just stuff like back in the day, like so many of these bands, like I said, there's a lot of bad actors in it. There's so many people where it's just, like you'd see it, they'd come around and then, as the tides of culture shift, all of a sudden their band changes, people, you showed that people weren't all about this life kind of thing. I see it, across the board with just how it used to be such like a white dudes club. You know what I mean? You go look at a Warped Tour lineup or something 20 years ago, and now you go to a local show right now. It's not like that at all. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
and there's no any sort of that bullshit anymore. Like it's cool. It's really cool. I don't know what causes it. And I think there's a lot of older people that want to say the younger generation this and that, but like, yeah, in my experience, like these kids really do seem to have it going on better than we did in terms of like keeping the ethos alive and that kind of like actually living it and stuff like, and like really supporting each other. Like, and
Yeah.
that's just this era today. Like the bands, there seems to be more love around the board than there was back in, like, there just used to be more competition, I think. Maybe just, which is weird too, because I think back in the day, there was probably more spots to be really successful, when there's a bajillion emo and hardcore and pop punk and metalcore bands on every festival. Like there was more spots then, but like it wasn't the same good energy we have today.
Yeah. There's also an enthusiasm that like without a younger generation doing what they're doing, like a lot of the spots we played on tour or, that book that our favorite kind of shows. And by that I mean like we have been really fortunate to play with bigger and bigger acts, and that's wonderful. But I think we all feel most at home in like a crowded, chaotic little room. And like it's the younger generation that's making that stuff happen.
Yeah, they're all about it. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. And the only sort of like you mentioned gatekeeping, the only gatekeeping I see is older people. Like people like 40 and above will, like I'll jokingly gatekeep online sometimes and it's like, no, this isn't real. But if you mention, like if you get into like an older crowd, they will get like that. But it doesn't seem to be a thing anymore. I think the genres were diversified, like everyone had access to all these like, all these underground bands. So you weren't as cool for knowing who like fucking Pierce the Veil or something like that back in the day. Cause it's like, well, everyone's heard of Pierce the Veil, bro. Like this is, like the preppy girls know what this is, we all know from First to Last or whatever, like it lost that cash, as time came on, maybe. I don't know. Either that or we were just miserable and looking for something to do.
I'm still miserable and looking for something to do. That's why I'm in this band.
Still are. We're just doing it in a more constructive way. Yeah, a little more 4D chess about it. Speaking of shows, what's your favorite show you guys have ever played? I mean, we're having some fun ones. You guys have gotten to do tours, but like you mentioned the small room. What's the craziest Drought show story?
Oh man. So that's kind of two questions. I feel like favorite show, I would need to think about more, but I definitely think the craziest show, in my opinion, is one of the first shows we played that was a last minute audition We were a last minute addition to it. I believe it was a Widow Dusk show that took place in the upstairs of a restaurant at an anarchist bookstore. And it was the like biggest fire hazard I've ever been a part of.
Wow.
It was like so packed. The walls were windows. So like at any moment, I was convinced like a person was going to be coming out of a window. It was like you were in there like sardines, to the extent that like to get down the stairs, people were literally needing to like climb over each other or like get crowd surfed down the stairs. Like getting our gear in and out was insane. We have friends show up and there's like, I'm not going in there. Like it's too crazy.
I wouldn't have thought that
And
the anarchist bookstore wasn't up to code. Wow.
but like that, I think like those are the moments that not to say like we want to just play fire hazards, but I think like
Those are the memorable
those
ones.
chaotic rooms are the most fun. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, that one definitely was one of the first ones to come to mind. And then like, yeah, we played a garage show not too long ago. It was like we had a record release show for the full length that was at like a bar venue
The
that does a lot
Parkside
of
shout out.
shows. And then like the next day, wasn't it? We played a garage that I thought was like infinitely more fun than the record release show. But similar like situation where the door to the garage swung inwards. But there were so many people in the garage that you basically couldn't open the door when
Oh,
all of the
shit.
people were in there. And it was awesome. Yeah, it was a super fun, just loud, crazy, sweaty show.
These sound like
Yeah.
a lot
Yeah.
of potential disasters.
Yes.
We love, I don't know, I think all of us love shows like that. But I think there's like this other side of the coin. I think like, maybe I'm thinking about this because I'm like the vocalist, but like I think there were like a couple of shows. Like our first Gilman show was with this band Frail, but we played on the floor at Gilman and it was like packed, and it was the first show where I was like, oh my God, there's like a whole bunch of people who are singing along.
Sick.
And I remember just being like, oh my, this is crazy. Like I was not expecting that. And then we played New Friends Fest back in
cool.
August. And it was our first like really like not like out of state, like international show for sure. And
It's in Canada,
you know,
right?
yeah, it's in Toronto.
Yeah.
And even there, it was a packed room, and there were people singing along. There were multiple people crowd surfing, and we were like, "Oh my God, this is insane!" And then the last one that comes to mind is actually like our show at Fest. Like again, you know, we're like on the other side of the country, and it was another completely packed room, and there were people singing along and crowd surfing, and I was like,
Oh yeah.
this is insane. Because like I think like we're sitting here, you know, and sometimes you're like in the practice space, like writing a song, or you play like a local show, and it's like I know our people here, I know who's gonna like come out and stuff, but it's super rad when you go somewhere far away and you're like, oh my God, like this is cool, like this connected with you, like holy
Sick.
shit.
Yeah, you're
Like so like
this is
there's
actually
like a part
making
of
an impact.
yeah, and it takes like that little small room and it makes it feel like it's like, okay, like that was like, those were bigger spaces. I mean, the fest room was still pretty small, but it's like, but it still kind of like had that feeling of like we're right up against people, or like you're really close to them. And like, I think that's like an environment we all really love and thrive in.
Viggy was
Nice.
forcibly crowd surfed. He was picked up by an audience member and
Sick.
like a baby and passed around.
It was like a baby. My belly button was out and everything. It was wild.
Damn. I was say you look like a pretty pretty decent sized guy too. It's not like they just
The other guy was bigger.
Damn. There we go. That's great. How was Gilman, obviously, as someone that grew up, you know, knowing about this world, but not really being from the Bay, like that's seen as this mecca, you know, and the holy grail of punk rock and DIY? Is it still like that?
I think in a lot of ways.
Yeah, like I was thinking about this a little bit earlier in the conversation, where when I was sort of trying to break back into like the local DIY music punk hardcore world in the Bay, I had a lot of trouble like figuring out where the shows were happening.
Yeah.
Especially like the like the DIY shows. And Gilman was one of the places that like, I was there all the time when I was younger. But Gilman also goes through phases of sort of it's all volunteer run, so
Yeah.
it's kind of
Kind of
like
who's in charge of it.
whatever people feel like booking is what's going to end up happening there. um I feel like there was a good stretch of time when there wasn't much there that I was interested in going to see. But I think more recently, and then of course this is in large part due to the these younger kids who are booking shows, um, who are they're booking cool shows and bringing in like bands that I want to go see, and it feels like it's sort of a return to like the Gilman that I grew up
It's
going
getting back
to.
there.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh yeah. Yeah, our the show we played at Gilman was almost my first time ever at Gilman. A show happened just before our show that I had to go see, but I was kind of excited for my first Gilman experience to be one where we played.
Like, yeah, I've only ever seen it from the stage. I don't know. Yeah. That's great. I have a couple more questions for you guys here before we wrap up. First off, what is your, like you said, really proud of this full length record here. I mean, it's like a pile of, babies you worked very hard on, but individually, I'm sure everyone has a favorite kid, What's the personal favorite songs on Souvenir?
Oof, that's a tough one.
The other ones we'll hear, yeah. The other songs we'll hear and they'll get offended. So yeah, you gotta pick wisely.
Let me think about it for a sec. If one of you guys have a thought.
I'm going to pick Saint.
Whoa.
Yeah. I think I think because it was a song that I didn't it wasn't it wasn't at the top of my list early on, but I think after it was done, fully written, recorded, I don't know, I just like it really resonated with me. So yeah, that's my pick.
Cool. That's an exciting answer to hear. These are always fun, I think, for all of us because like these are like I'm learning. That's Eric's answer,
Yeah.
At the same time you are, but like I think we wrote that song while I was home visiting family in Wisconsin, and Eric and I, in the course of a day, shot like GarageBand files back and forth to each other. And I think I remember initially Eric was like, I don't really think I like this. But
Funny
like,
how that turned out.
Yeah, I mean it's awesome. It's like the sum of all the parts, like yeah, that's really interesting.
That's sick.
What about you, Biggie?
I was actually gonna say Saint too. I mean, it's for a slightly different reason. I mean, I think like part of the thing was that like I think it's definitely like a little bit different than like the rest of the record. But like I think one of the things about that song was like kind of challenge myself a little bit. I was like I can write like a melodic hook on this, and it felt like it fit. It was like very like sort of like I remember like doing that and then coming in and being like, wow, this is what makes sense in this song. And like, a lot of like the way we write is like we'll try a lot of things and we want it to feel like organic and like everything's sort of like serving.
Yeah, like serves the sum of the parts, yeah.
Yeah, and that song I think like really captured that, like, interestingly. There were a lot of parts in it that are like, each one's really like different from the last. Like, we have like 3 choruses. The last chorus is like completely different instrumentation, and actually the other guys would be like, that's not the chorus. It was like, in the early parts of like doing it, but then like the way it like ended up is it's like such like a nice like sort of climax and stuff. And I'm just like really proud of it. I think I don't think we as a band write pop songs most of the time. I think we all have like pop sensibility, but I don't think we like write a pop song. And I think Saint was us writing a pop song without intending, like, at all. It just sort of just happened. And I think like that's kind of cool, because like there's a lot of pop songs I like, and like I don't think I ever want to like intend to do something like that. That's not the way we express ourselves. But in this instance, it just came out, and I think that's like really cool, and it's like sort of an interesting sort of like spark and moment for us that I'm fascinated by.
Yeah, I think that's also an interesting answer, because I heard that song being a straight up hardcore song, like based on the like first 2 parts of that song that got written. I was like, I think like the first 2 parts I wrote, just heard like straight up hardcore style vocals over it, and Viggy quickly torpedoed that idea. But but it's like kind of, I think there's like a lesson in all of that, where like, unless you're a band where there's like one songwriter who tells everybody like what to do, you have to let go of it and let it be what it wants to be. And that's a lesson for me, because I think it's really easy to write a guitar part and hear how, like, kind of like imagine the way things will go. And sometimes it's like a little bit of like a reality check of like, oh, this went in a totally different direction. And sometimes it takes a moment to like surrender that initial idea.
Well, yeah, and there's like a specific part in that song which I think, yeah, part of the sort of going back to it, like part of the reason why I like that song is because I think because of the fact that we were writing it and we were kind of like writing it postal service style. And I was just like, I'm just gonna like write whatever and just send it back, and it was like easy to just sort of to feel like a lack of pressure.
Yeah.
Like I'm just gonna like write something that I think might sound cool or whatever. And like, I don't know. I think that there's like, yeah, there's like a freedom and just sort of like letting go, and just seeing what happens. That I think it came together in that instance for that song. So
It's funny you say that. I was gonna say it's not like we wrote that song. It's like we discovered it. Like it was like all like it's just like we kind which is kind of, I think like that's true for like a lot of our songs. Like I
I
don't
was gonna
think
say
any of
that
us is
sounds
like
like that's
too,
art.
like,
Yeah, that's magical. Yeah, that's how it. Yeah, they should be like. Yeah, it's. I'm not like superstitious or anything like that. But yeah, with like art, music, sometimes it's this where it almost like inhabits. It's like you're the vessel for it. Sometimes, you know what I mean. Like same with guitar, is like it's nut job QAnon conspiracy sounding shit. But it's like if I've got a new guitar, it's like every guitar only has so many songs. You know what I mean? It's like I got to get all the songs. Like it's fucking hippie woo woo bullshit. But for some reason, I kind of believe it. You know?
I mean, yeah, I mean, it helps. Uh, I think it helps a lot that we're all pretty inspired by each other, and sometimes we definitely get in our own way. Like I mentioned, I'm a chronic overthinker, and we'll try a million different guitar parts if I'm like writing something to, like something Eric's written, and I'm always like impressed by Eric's kind of just like, I don't know if it's confidence or steadfastness or what it is, in like he writes a part and he like really doesn't seem to deviate from it a whole lot. Like he's like, no, like this, like I don't know what he's thinking, but um it's nice to not have an overthinker in the band.
Yeah.
um I think my favorites, I it's a toss up for me between our first song and our last song on the record, and which is Invitation and Wayfinding. And I think they're they're a toss up for the same reasons, in that I feel like in each song we explored the full breadth of who we are as songwriters and musicians. I think like I'm really proud of moments on both songs for my like my personal parts, but also the range that I saw that others got to express as well.
Oh, yeah.
And like those just feel like there may be some of our longer songs too, which like again coming from like a post rock, like post metal background, like I like songs that kind of take their time and develop. Um, but yeah, both of those songs I'm really proud of. Just like where like the peaks and valleys feel like it for me listening to them now. Like I feel like they're still a journey. And I think that's something I love in music, where like you get taken for a ride.
Oh yeah. Sick. What are the 2026 drought plans?
Napping,
Just taking it easy.
heavy napping.
Yeah.
I don't know, Vicky,
Awesome.
what do you got?
Hopefully writing some new songs. You know, right now, like we put out almost everything we've written. We have a lot of ideas in the pipeline. I think like we all have like notes of stuff we want to do. And, you know, this year we played more, I think like 3 times the shows we played the year before.
Sick.
You know, which has been awesome. It's been like, I think like a real sort of like, oh yeah, like, and we've been, and like in some ways, like the quality of the shows has also been better, like across the board. So like, I think like it's been nice to kind of like expand and like do that. I think like we're at a point where it's like, okay, like cool, we've done that. And like maybe we can go back to like based on what we've learned, right? Like, you know, when you're like out on the road, you play with all these other bands, you see stuff that they do, and it's like, oh, that's really cool. I'd like to try that.
Yeah.
And it's like anything, right? It's like even like when you figure out like your fashion or whatever else, you like try things on until you figure out like what works for you. And like, and that is always happening. It's not like, oh, this is the way I'm going to look forever, right? Like, and I think music's kind of like that too, where like you see other bands, you're like, oh, that's cool, let me try it. And sometimes it's like doesn't work. It's like, no, doesn't work for us. This isn't our style. But sometimes it does, and you need to try it. And I think like I'm really excited personally to like go back and like reflect on stuff we've experienced together, things we might have learned. I think like we all have like, I can't speak for everyone, but I do think like we have like a newfound sort of appreciation for like our band and like the things we're trying to do. And like I think that's like kind of like also a cool thing to explore further, because like I already have like ideas about like stuff I want to write about, like lyrically, or like concepts to explore that are like a little bit different than what we did before, but it's like, oh, it's still in the same universe, which I think has always been like the way that we try and operate, which is like, yeah, this is like the Drought universe, like anything that, you know, the group of us makes is gonna sound a certain way, or probably be about kind of around some stuff, but like how can we expand it? How can we make it like a little more interesting? How can we try things that challenge ourselves? I'm just really excited to do all that, because like right now it feels like our live show's dialed in, and let's move to the next thing.
The second stage of the drought cinematic universe, or whatever it is. Yeah, like, okay, no, that's, yeah, you start picking, it's little tools you learn along the way. Now you're like, well, we could have done this different. Okay, well, now we'll do this differently going forward. We add this, and you like, you evolve as a band. You're like, well, fuck, now we could do it better. I'm sure you guys are like,
Stage
just
2
like, well,
turbine blade, let's go.
yeah, like, you're like, the next one's going to be
That's
so
not-
much fucking better. Yeah.
That's
Two
second
last things before I let
stage.
you go, real quick. You guys have had to form a band on Craigslist. It's probably a nightmare forming a band. I'm guessing also you guys are either married or you've definitely dated or something in your life. What would you rather do? Would you rather have to go form another band online, or would you rather have to go date online?
Oh,
Both seem like fucking nightmares.
band online.
Okay. There we go.
100%.
There we go. At least get some buddies out of it.
Or enemies.
Yeah.
Both are exciting.
Both are excited. Sick. Okay. Last question. Bay Area. Guys are in a long storied tradition from a very thick region. The social media stuff loves this dumb fucking clip, so I gotta ask, what's the Mount Rushmore of the Bay Area? 4 Bay Area bands of our worlds.
That's tough. These guys are from out here, so they're gonna have like a bunch of stuff to draw from.
How many people are on Mount Rushmore? 3?
Technically 4, yeah.
What?
Technically 4, yeah. There's 4 for now. But I mean, you build the mountain, you can do whatever the fuck you want with it. There's no like codes and permits. It's like
Wait.
the anarchist bookstore.
Do we each pick one band, or do we each
Sure.
pick 4 bands?
You can do whatever the hell you want. Yeah, it's like a yeah. There's really no rules on it.
Let's
You can
each
do it any
pick
way you want.
4 because I think
Yeah.
I've got ideas.
Oh, that's so hard. I can't do that. Okay, go on.
What do you got?
Wait, Bay Area hardcore bands? That's the task?
Anything that
From Bay Area
hardcore punk,
bands.
anything Bay Area. Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Biggie.
Yeah, he's
All
got
right.
some.
Yeah, I'm like I could go like outside this and like just pick like bands because there's like Metallica and Primus and stuff like
Yeah.
that. But I'm just gonna go
Which
kinda
you
like,
should pick Primus.
yeah, I'm just gonna go like punk bands. I'm gonna say like it's gonna be Dead Kennedys, Op Ivy, AFI, and I'm gonna put Scowl in the mix so that it like
Ooh,
spans
shit.
decades and time frames and like context changes as time goes on. Those would be my four.
Very analytical and interesting pick there. Because as they were reading off, I was like, okay, the 4th one is going to be, is it going to be Primus? I'm like, is it Green Day or something like that? I'm like, well, where are you going?
from
Like,
here.
I wasn't
Green
sure.
Day is too
Okay.
close to Op Ivy in my mind.
That's
so I
why,
had to do those four.
that's why I was like, okay, we got Oppie Ivy out of the way, so that covers that general world. Okay, good pick there, solid pick. Yeah, okay.
Eric?
Oh man, I'm gonna kind of have to build this on the fly. Rancid.
Damn.
I'm gonna put Ceremony in there. I'm gonna put Deaf Heaven
Damn it,
on
dude.
there.
You can pick the same
And-
ones.
Oh, okay, great.
Yeah.
Oh man, last one. I'm gonna say, you know what? Fuck it. I'm gonna say Comadre.
There we go. Beautiful mountain.
Man, that's tough. A lot of mine have been said already, but I mean, maybe that speaks to our shared musical background. But AFI for me, for sure, like they were my introduction into realizing that there were other straight edge people in the world, and that blew my mind. I think I'm just gonna like say Rancid Op Ivy is one
Can
pick
count as
for me.
one. That can count as one entity. Yeah.
Again, as like a young punk, like hearing the musicianship and like the pop writing sensibilities of music that stood for something was huge. Also like other end of the spectrum, Deaf Heaven. I think it's safe to like call them a Bay Area band. I think they're incredible songwriters. The last one I'm struggling with, again, not really being from out here and not ever paying attention to where bands are from. It makes this difficult, but I am seriously leaning on Primus, which will come as no surprise to the other members of this band. I'm just going to say that. You know what? I'm going to say that because that band was huge to a young 16-year-old bass player. Just like push all the limits. Push the weirdest limits. Slap a fretless bass. Why
I was
not?
gonna say the Bay might have to change. Have to think of some clever name. I don't have it. You know, like lobs. It's like the bass area almost between Les Claypool and Matt Freeman. There, two of the best bass play. Shit. Yeah. You guys really
also
breed a
Cliff
certain-
Burton. Like
Yeah, shit.
I really wanted to include Shinobu because they were like a really important band in my like youth, but like anyway,
Mount Rushmore is like, you know, that's the founding fathers, I think. I don't
Yeah.
know. Maybe I'm bad American.
There
I'm a
really
bad
is no
American.
right answer. Yeah, there is I'm like, oh, that's this. Then someone will say like, what? I'm like, oh fuck, I left that out. You're right. It's really like a 25 head mountain. There's a lot of participation trophies on my fucking mountain. You know, like I don't. Yeah,
Yeah,
it
like
changes by the day.
if you like asked me to pick Mount Rushmore of more of Milwaukee bands, it's kind of easier because the Bay Area has so many huge and influential bands in this scene,
And in
like
like different like reaches of the scene too, because you're right. Like you could
totally
make this list and leave off a Metallica, a fucking Journey, Green Day, and this and that. And it's like, well, these are some of the biggest bands in the history of fucking music. You know,
Jawbreaker.
like Third Eye Blind is from the Bay.
Jawbreaker. Yeah.
Yeah. Like there's so many like shit. Would you include this? Like
Yeah.
it's a very rich. Every time I've ever had like we've had a few bands that are like NorCal, Bay Area, and it's like collectively we're like two states in terms of how much we've produced. Like if you like
Oh
if
yeah.
there was like this was some sort of Olympic competition, like we could divide ourselves and we would end 1 and 2 depending on the judges. Like it's
Yeah.
so thick.
What's your SoCal picks? You can't pick North Cal. We
So
got
if I
that
do
covered.
SoCal, if I'm going in general SoCal and I'm keeping it in our world, I'm going. And the old heads look at me because I wasn't there in like the early 80s. So what the fuck, like the circle jerks type stuff. Like like I'm going Bad Religion.
Okay.
Do we count No Effects as down here?
I think it could go either way, but these guys do.
I would. We're going Bad Religion #1, best punk band. We'll put No Effects. I think pure influence wise, like just straight up, what band has led to more people picking up guitars and drum sets and yada yada yada? You have to put Blink-182 on there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The fourth, like that fourth one is like oof. Like there's so many like cool answers. Like it's like, oh, like fucking Weatherbox or Rocket from the Crypt or this or that. But it's like realistically, it's like
No doubt.
like fucking like Sublime, Social Distortion. No, I'm pretty
yeah.
anti Orange County, so I'm leaving the Orange County bands off. Yeah, I'm just going straight LA. Oh, this is brutal. This is brutal. There's someone very. I think out of respect for the world, I think I need to include Guns and fucking Roses.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Like it's just like whoever I put on the list in my head, Axl is gonna show up 4 hours late and fucking break a bottle over L.A. I think L.A. I think Guns N' Roses. You know what I mean? Like it's tough. Like I'm not the biggest Guns N' Roses fan, but it's one of those things. Like I feel like they can't be denied.
Yeah, you almost forget, you almost forget that they're from somewhere. That they're just not like
it's like a T-shirt brand,
like a musical
Target.
entity. Yeah.
It's like a brand at some point.
How synonymous they are with like that, like LA's strip music scene. It's a good pick.
And it's like, I like it, especially like coming from like more punk shit. Like to me, like a lot of that Sunset Strip shit, like a lot of it's still like, you go down there's still some people down there that think it's 1986. It's embarrassing, like I don't, hair metal wasn't for me, this or that, but it's like some of it, you just can't deny it. You can't deny that it was a force for a while. And that seemed to be the one band that was kind of legitimately cool for at least a minute, for at least like an album and a half, maybe.
Yeah, I think they've escaped unscathed from, like, they definitely were, the cock rock Sunset Strip scene, but for some reason they've kind of like
for some reason
got
that
a bit of cred.
That feels cool. Like Motley Crue wouldn't be cool. Like to me, like it's like, oh, but it's like, really, what's the difference? I don't know. The difference is Appetite for Destruction, I guess. One of them, yeah. I don't know. But
Lemmy
Axl,
and Slash are the coolest people who ever hung out at Rainbow.
That's
you know what I mean?
No, it's so when I first moved to LA, like I went to the Rainbow the first night I ever camped here as an adult, and I didn't know what it was. I didn't know anything like that yet. My best buddy in San Diego found out his biological uncle was Wes Scantlin from Puddle of Mud. So it's so random. He's like, yeah, my uncle's got a puddle of mud. So we came up for the day. We went to Saddle Ranch. We partied with him. Then we went to the Rainbow Room. They're like, yeah, Lemmy's up. This, like, it was fucking madness. I'm like, LA is crazy. This is the wildest shit ever. It's like that every day. And then I moved here, and I'm like, oh no, never mind. That was like, that's not that normal. And I'm not just gonna be hanging out like under Lemmy's bedroom every day. But yeah, it's Lemmy's. But I mean, like Lemmy's synonymous with the Sunset Strip in LA, but it's like the band's English, so I wouldn't even think to include, like if the mountain was guys, which it probably should be, the mountain should really be guys born in England that moved to America, like white guys, that are English born. That's really what Mount Rushmore is, I think. Like, George Washington and them, like, so like realistically, like, yeah, the Mount Rushmore is Ozzy Osbourne, Lemmy, yeah, whoever the fucking Rods, whoever the other guys are that live here, Elton John, like that. That's the real Mount Rushmore. Unfortunately, it's not very cool, but thank you guys for making me really think about that. Normally I'm pointing the finger. I now know what it's like to have it pointed back at me. And this is a daunting question at times. I see that now. I'm going to live with this.
It's exciting.
Well, thank you guys for joining me. Before we go, you want to tell these people listening where they can find you guys on the internet and stuff like that in case they don't know to just type in. It's something we ask at the end, and I'm realizing now that people already probably know how to do this.
Our SEO is not great. Based, California drought.
I was gonna say you have to compete with the literal droughts. Yeah.
Global
Global warming.
There's a
stuff.
Drought_band on Instagram, Drought Band on Twitter. I think it's Drought Sounds or Drought Band on TikTok. So you can find us on all of those mediums. We have a couple shows coming up, so if you're in the Bay, catch us. Catch us December 4th. We're playing with Thursday and Free Throw, so try and come out. But yeah.
Yeah, we also have stuff on all the places.
Slip that in at the end. No big deal. We're just playing with like the best third wave emo band and the best like fourth wave one. No big deal. Like, yeah, just casually. December 4th. See you there.
That's a bucket. We've played a couple bucket list shows as of late. We played with Touche recently, and getting to play Thursday is another huge one. I'm sure like awesome. The other guys have ones, but like getting to play these shows feels like and again, doing it a little bit later in life, getting these opportunities to play with some of the bands that mean a lot to you. It's really cool. Ceremony's awesome. Next. 2026.
We're gonna will it into existence. There we go.
Ceremony, if you're listening, you're next. We're coming for you.
Yeah. If you guys are listening to the hour 15-minute mark of the Emo Kids Anonymous podcast, please. Also, after you hit them up, can you just message? I'd like you to come on the show as well. Yeah, I haven't even. Yeah, my DM must have slipped through. Yeah, with the sugar daddy bots and stuff. But anyways, thank you guys for joining me. The new record kicks ass, and like I said, Scott's record approved, which is a big deal in our world. That's like the Anthony Fantano of emo, basically. So you guys got a seal of approval. You're onto something good. Keep it up, and I look forward to having you guys back on when that second record comes out sometime.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
Appreciate you guys. Thank you.
Take care.
Hey man, it's your boy Petty Hendrix, man. You tuned in to Emo Kid Anonymous. Check it out, you did.